Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here. Today we're going to be answering the question of, is Destiny 2 dead? And, can Bungie fix it? What would they need to do to fix it? So, first and foremost, before we get straight into the video, stay tuned to the end to hear some of my wild suggestions and my personal pitch to you, Destiny 2 players. Definitely answer in the comments if y'all would pick up play the game after, I tell y'all my plan. Also, tonight, Halo stream, 5 p.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern time. I will be using OG graphics for Halo 1. Hoping to beat Halo 1, at least tonight. So, if not, that's perfectly fine. But Halo 2, I don't know if I'm going to be using anniversary graphics or what. I don't know what I'll be using, so, yes, come pop into the stream, right at 5 p.m. Eastern time, going until 7 p.m. Eastern time. I will literally on 7 p.m. Eastern time. So come and say hello. Now, on to the discussion of Destiny 2. First and foremost, let's talk about the player numbers, right? I'm not going to necessarily talk about the article, but as far as Steam goes, after refreshing, the all-time peak over the last 24 hours was 23K. And however, the player current number is like 22.6K. Now, currently, we are at the lowest average players we have ever been. Not by much, though. Over the last 30 days, we have been at 25.1K average players. Our next lowest is in September, which is at 25.2K players for average. Our peak players are quite a lot lower. So our peak players over the last 30 days was 39.7K. I'm looking at Steam charts, by the way, so you have to check for yourselves. Our next lowest is in September at 41.3K. So, yeah. Player numbers aren't looking too great. I do know I saw it hit as low as 12K. Personally, that I've seen the lowest hit was 16K. And that was 2 nights ago? 2 nights ago, I want to say. So yeah, it's kind of insane. How bad we're doing. Now, here's the question. What happened? Final Shape happened. Final Shape was the perfect bandwagon to jump off of. Also, Final Shape did not have great post-raid content. It did. It only had the Grandmaster Ergo Sum stuff, and that was it. There was no exotics that came out after the raid. Macrocosm was obtainable before the raid came out, and same with Still Hunt. But yeah, no exotic was obtainable after the raid. There was nothing after the raid. The raid was it. No post-raid content, which is extremely rare, and I believe it's the only expansion to not have it. Right? I think of course, at least post DCV, I believe Final Shape is the only expansion to not have not have really any post-raid content. Because even the 12-man activity was available before. Oh wait, no, it wasn't available before the raid, was it? No, it was available after. So Ergo Sum, I guess. No. I thought you could. Okay, somebody correct me in the comments below, but I believe you could obtain Ergo Sum before the raid. You just could not obtain. The 12-man activity wasn't available yet, but I believe you could get Ergo Sum. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Now, some problems. Outside of Final Shape, one, world weapons being craftable is a problem. No world weapon should ever be able to be craftable. It should be left to games that, weapons that you actually have to grind for, that you can target for. I do believe crafting ruined the game. However, I'm going to offer my solution here right now. At the end of a completed raid, you can choose to spend spoils for this, but I think it should be pretty cheap. You can spend a raid spoil to get a weapon with double perks. Or, have it to where your first completion, you shouldn't necessarily be worried about loot on your first completion anyways. So after the end of your completion, you can select a weapon, and that weapon will be focused for the next time you do the raid, and as you run through the raid, it'll be more likely to drop, but you are guaranteed to get that weapon with double perks upon beating the final boss. You select it at the beginning of the raid, well, or you can, choose have a totem at the beginning of the raid to choose what you want to focus for. Then that weapon is guaranteed to drop from the final boss at the end of the raid with double perks, and that weapon being able to be enhanced. I think that would help massively. For seasonal activities, bump the amount of loot up in general. Bump the amount of, shower the player with weapons and everything. Shower them with weapons. As far as dungeons should be able to get enhanced weapon as well. Bungie plans on handling the armor issue with the armor sets, but Bungie has been really, really slow upon armor, because when was the last time you grinded out for armor? For me, it was Spire of the Watcher somewhat, but realistically, it was Grasp of Avarice. I believe most of my Titan armor comes, Artifice comes from Spire of the Watcher. Or no, I think it comes from Grasp, actually. I think there's a few pieces that come from Spire, but I only really grinded for Grasp of Avarice. I also did not want any of the weapons. I have not wanted a legendary weapon from a dungeon outside of Indebted Kindness ever. I did not grind for Grasp of Avarice weapons, did not do it for Prophecy. When I was around, did not do it, well, Pit of Heresy and Shadowthorn didn't have any. I did not care about the duality loot. Right. Yeah, well, I guess, there were red borders in there, so that's a little bit of a situation, because I wanted the machine gun, nothing else. Also, I did attempt to grind for Storm Chaser, but I still to this day have never gotten a god roll of it. Which is so funny. I have like 30-something clears, which is kind of funny. But I missed that chase of being like, hey, you finally get that exotic. You finally get that weapon. You feel that sense of relief, right? It's kind of like busting a fat nut. We finally hit past the 7-minute mark, so I'm just gonna say whatever. Yeah, it kind of feels like busting a fat nut, right? So. And also, this is not a quote-unquote family-friendly channel here. I swear I crap tons, and I make somewhat defined crude references. So, if y'all want more of that, stay tuned, because I can't really control it when I get angry. So, when I get extremely angry or frustrated when fighting Souls bosses, so, yeah. But, back to Destiny 2. Those are some major issues with crafting, in my personal opinion. I have no reason to grind for loot. As far as weapons go, I have every single weapon that I need or would realistically ever want. And in terms of armor, I don't have a real reason to grind for that either. Now, here are a few things here's really the big thing that I would do to incentivize players to come back for, in terms of actual, gameplay-wise. I don't think there's much, but besides obvious balance changes or whatever, let players use more than one exotic armor piece. Let them use 2. And before you're like, oh, but Prismatic, it would nerf it. No, because I would personally allow you to use more than one exotic on Prismatic. So you can use the exotic class item and then another exotic. I feel like that'd be really cool. Really cool. It would help out Prismatic a little bit too. Just saying. So that's what I would personally do. As far as loot goes, I would not touch exotic weapons for the most part. So, just not my deal, not my cup of tea. Now, in terms of activities, I don't think much can be done in terms of the activities front. I personally would let all the Forsaken stuff being free to play, free to all players. It's been out so long, anyways. We had a lot of time to get the loot, right? Shadowkeep is a little bit more of a hot topic, but I personally would let Shadowkeep be free too. Pretty much everything that would have been in the DCV, I would personally just let it be free. Now, be online and afterwards, no, but at this point, make Stasis free. I don't really quite get why it isn't. Stasis should be free at this point. I am personally not a huge fan of subclasses being locked to expansions. I noticed that it's the big selling point, but like, come on. Come on. Strand, I'm okay with being paid for because it is a recent expansion. But when Apollo launches, I would have Strand being free too. At this point, at that point. So that's what I do for the activities front. Also, to compensate for the being able to use more than one exotic, I would have raids and dungeon difficulty being increased. However, only letting you use one in regular strikes, just to not be too insane. GMs being fine to use two. I do have a couple of ideas for Gambit and Cruise Gambit. Make a higher difficulty version of Gambit. Put the Adept, give us some Adept Gambit weapons. I'm sure people would love an Adept Breakneck Auto Rifle for PvP stuff. And for PvP players, two modes I got for you. Bam, Bungie forces you to use all white gear and armor. Second mode, you're given a random exotic weapon with infinite ammo. Go ham. Call it Chaos Mode. If you want to go even further, abilities random. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but let you take a certain amount of abilities in. Exotic, infinite ammo. Buff up maybe primary ammo weapons a little bit in this mode specifically, so that it's not too out of band. But also give players randomized exotic armor piece. Chaos. So that's what I personally do for PvP. Just at least freshen up a new mode. Bungie has definitely been lacking on that front. Bring back Sparrow Racing League, or you can mix it up and call it like some semblance of a parkour deal, so that you know you can have Eager's Edge or maybe banned weapons are being used, but abilities can be used. You know, just like a speed thing, similar to what Season of the Splicer sort of had. Those are just a few. Those are a few things that I would personally do. In terms of new players, go through the Red War campaign, bring it back. There's no reason why I should have left in the first place. Bring Red War campaign back. Have newer players going through that, going through Forsaken's campaign as well. I will personally go in order of release though, but I'm not sure if they can bring back Warmind or Curse of the Osiris expansions. Warmind was far superior though, so I would at least have players get Red War. Newer players get Red War, so they have a baseline story to start with. I would also let, Forsaken and Shadowkey being able to be played through as well. I do feel like the timeline stuff is interesting, and that's where you can put it, but I kind of don't understand why Red War's not really playable, considering that it feels like the perfect new player experience, like a new player campaign. Like, bruh, like realistically, newer players don't really have a campaign. Like, they don't start off with a campaign exactly. They just start off with a random set of missions and not an actual proper campaign. Red War could be the perfect solution for that. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on the changes that I would personally make. I will wrap it up at the end to give y'all those strict spark notes. If y'all prefer that told to you. Last time. I don't know why. I don't feel like I'm necessarily that tired, but okay. But now, as far as crafting having ruined things, the new player experience being terrible, there being no loot chase, there's also the problem of other games are coming out now. Other games are out now. Yeah, it's First Descendant is taking some of those players away. Do I think First Descendant can last long term? No. I already see blatant problems with it trying to last long term. But I feel like maybe keep up with it, maybe like 2 or 3 years. I don't think it should be a permanent live service. Also, Marvel Rivals is taken away. Path of Exiles. Warframe is starting to take some players as well. There's a lot of games coming out now, and single-player games are starting to be on the rise, right? And, I mean, next year's going to be packed. We have Witcher 4, Borderlands 4. Even though Witcher 4, I have my own individual thoughts on it. We're going to be having Doom Dark Ages, which, yes, is a single player. We'll have Elden Ring Night Reign. There's just going to be so much stuff coming out next year. Destiny 2 is really going to have to bring it. I don't think Apollo can. I do not think Apollo can. Also, why do we still only have one armor piece, like one raid armor piece that has moving parts on it? Like, sure, we have armor pieces with glowy parts, but like, Bob Cyber is so cool to have actual moving parts on the armor piece itself. Why didn't we get that for Salvation Stage? Like, come on, y'all can do better. So yeah, those are. It's just, man. In short, I personally do not think Destiny 2 can be saved at this point. I think it's going to get worse. Heresy is not going to really bring back a large majority of the player population. Destiny 3 just needs to happen. That's just realistically the only way this franchise can be saved. Marathon is going to flop. People are going to see Bungie's history, and they're going to be like, oh, you could not keep up with the one project you had? Well, why should we expect you to keep up with Marathon? I feel like they should have released a single-player project first, or even like a co-op thing, but it not being a live service, similar to Red Dead 2. They should have released something similar to that before trying to push out another live service deal. And extraction shooters aren't exactly what's popping right now. They just aren't. And being realistically speaking, PvE isn't exactly what's bumping currently either, outside of like Marvel's Rivals. Right? Because a lot of the games that have had some success have had no PvP elements. Path of Exile, Diablo 4, Warframe, I don't believe has any PvP in it at all. And you know, obviously, First Ascendant, you know, has been doing decently well, considering, and it has no PvP elements in it at all, and there's no plans to. You do not need PvP. Like, okay, PvP cannot sustain a game. Even Fortnite doesn't have pure PvP. It has other modes to it. Who talks about Apex Legends now still? I don't know anyone that does. Overwatch. Like, like, I know they have their dedicated communities, but like, let's be realistic here. Let's be fucking realistic here. Even Call of Duty's only successful because of the name only. And zombies. Black Ops has zombies. It has zombies mode. So yeah, there's a lot of here, a lot of here. But in short, to reiterate in quick points, can Destiny 2 be saved? Yes. Will it though? No. I think Destiny 2 is actually going to die. Destiny 1 is dead. It is a dead game. When you can start loading into strikes, solo and having long queue times, it is a dead game. Destiny 2 is starting to be there. It's starting to get there. Now, I'm not necessarily going to discuss the raid situation either, but too much. But in short, change the crafting system. Do something with it. It's just crafting is not a way to incentivize players to keep playing. It's just not. It's just simply not. Players have too much loot at this point. We need a hot take, but we need a DCV to vault a crap ton of loot. We already have issues with power grind, like the shit grind or whatever. We already have issues of being too strong. So remove that. Let players use more than one exotic armor piece. That would really expand build crafting. Make Red Warrior campaign playable, especially for newer players. It'll have a story point that newer players can jump off from. And make directions a little bit more clear. Oh, and also fix the massive strike bug of enemies just not spawning in strikes. There's just been an absurd amount of bugs this season, but probably the one that's been the most detrimental is just load into a strike with 3 people and the ads just do not load. The most prominent strike that I've had this issue with is the new one from Final Shape. Also, expansions just need to have more than one strike. But, holy shit. Like, I've never loaded into this many strikes and not having any ads spawn before. It's absurd. Fix the bugs. Like, bruh, stop trying to focus on balance as much and focus on fixing the game. Holy shit. So yeah, those are my aim. Obviously, bring back Wrath of the Machine. If you want to say that for Destiny 3, say it for Destiny 3, but bring back Leviathan, Spire Star, Eater of Worlds, Crown of Sorrow, and Scourge of the Past. I think we just recently hit more new raids than one that we've lost. So, should that ever happen? No. So, yeah. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Would that personally be enough to bring us back to the game more? Personally, for me, yes. I think they're going to be fixing the armor issue soon as well. With the set bonuses, but the more than one exotic armor piece would be so fun to mess around with. But yeah. Let me know what y'all think of the comments below. Do y'all think Destiny 2 is going to die? I can definitely see the big thing is going to be the third episode. If it's bad, there's no reason for you to even come back for Apollo. Communication's been shit anyways for an extremely long period of time. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. But on that note though, let me know what y'all think in the comments below, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side.